really live in your own little bubble. So might as well have a bubble you love of yourself. So then I have the area of time, which is your relationship to time, to-dos, and time management, right? So when you're down at a 1 versus a 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate your current life against that dream? Answer why you gave it that rating, and then what you think is between you and getting to a 9, 10 in that area.
Before you know it, you're in your late 30s, early 40s, and you look around and you like and think, huh, how did I end up here? Like, hey, where'd the decade go? The whole decade's gone on. I wouldn't watch television for years. And then there'll be time, like, especially recently, so there's been a lot of emotional stuff that's happened. I've checked out. I didn't read books. I didn't listen to podcasts that I would do normally. I haven't been listening to my audiobooks. I've been binge watching, movies and dramas and other stuff because I've checked out. Yeah. Literally, I've just checked out. Yes. And it's easy for me to not focus on work, not focus on anything, just watch Netflix dramas. Yeah. Welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And today, guess what? I'm so excited. We have the amazing Lauren Zander once again. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Lauren, everyone's heard your intro once again. They know how fabulous you are, but please, in your own words, tell everybody what it is that you do.
I run an executive and life coaching company. Basically, we go into companies and we coach the executives, high potentials, and I work with individuals on all areas of their life, especially love and just the careers, being happy. And it's really about being able to dream and have personal integrity, which means you keep promises to yourself, not just everybody else.
Wonderful. And today's topic is the 12 areas of life. You kept alluding to this, the 12 areas on our Friday feature. So I thought we really have to deep dive into listing out all these different areas. So talk us through the 12 areas that you talk about that, that we need to question about. Yeah, let's get started.
Okay. It's so funny. I have been talking about these 12 areas, but you're like, Lauren, can you list them without looking at them? I'm like, no, I will get to about 9 and then forget the others.
That's probably fine. Yeah.
So I have them right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first is your relationship to self, how you feel about yourself, your personality traits and habits. The next is body, your health, weight, and appearance.
If I stop you there for a second, I'm glad it's the first one's to yourself. So is this how you view yourself and how whether you think you're a good or bad person, whether you judge yourself, whether you have that negative self-talk, that encompasses all of that part?
Yes, yes. How you feel about yourself, your personality traits, and your habits.
Okay. That's number 1. What's number 2?
That's number 1. Number 2 is your body, which is your health, your weight, and your appearance.
And that, I think this one is a major factor for a lot of women, but it's actually more in modern day and age for men too, by the way. I think a lot of men are very self-conscious about the physical appearance too, but it's usually the females now, usually historically it's the females. And I've seen it in my own house as well. I think we had issues when I was growing up in the 90s, but I think nowadays even more so for young girls, because social media is so prominent and present. In my house, I remember my mother would not allow me to buy. I was never allowed to buy magazines. Like, that was never allowed. She didn't approve of them. She thought they were too few clothes on them. But more importantly, she didn't want me to judge myself. And now, in hindsight, now I see what she was. She didn't want me to compare myself, white normal bodied girl, to these stick thing, models on these magazines, and they were airbrushed as well. So these impossible standards that you can't get to. But
never mind. Just so you know, I have worked with very famous people.
Oh no! This is across the body.
Wait. Hold on. Don't worry, they're not happy either in their bodies. Okay, like if you're like, where is the happy person in their body? And I'm like, if you have a lower self, your body, you are picking on yourself no matter what.
Yeah,
I agree. Like I agree. You have to develop a relationship where you love yourself, love your body, because it's what you want it to be, right? Yeah. And you can't get there even if you have it, if you don't have it in your mind.
That explains the number of surgeries that these stars have, and so forth. And they've messed up their faces. They're beautiful, and they end up looking really weird after the number of surgeries they had, because they were, God knows what they were trying to go.
There's a lot going on in that mind of ours, right? There's a lot going on. Okay, so we have body.
Yep.
We
What's number
have
3?
love, which is your dating, marriage, sex, and romance, like whatever
Okay.
that is for you in the area of love. And then spirituality.
That's number 5.
And that's number, I'm not counting the numbers, but I believe you.
Yeah.
And it's self-defined. So
Mm-hmm.
everyone should have a relationship to their own spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is your career, which is business, work, and school life, depending on how old you are.
Yeah.
The next one is money, which is earnings, savings, and money management.
I love that. So I'm going to stop you for a second because I think
Yeah.
that's a great thing that you split career and work from money. A lot of people
Yes.
have this misconception that when you're focusing career, you're focusing on money. You're actually not. You have to
No.
focus on money individually as its own separate topic because it's such an important topic. And you have to build a relationship with money, which is not taught in schools or by parents. And so a lot of people have this very negative, frustrated relationship with money. So I'm
Or
glad you put it.
and the other thing people do, which is the funniest, which is they go, I have a bad relationship with money, which then entitles them to never learn how to manage their
Yeah.
money. And
Yeah.
then, be a shopaholic. You're like,
Or one thing that I've
I'm
heard
bad with it.
I've heard quite, but money's not important to me. I just want to be happy. I've heard that so much. Money's not important to me. I remember this one person, one of my cousins. She would say this multiple times, like because I was a money coach. So she would say, I'm not worried about money. I don't think about money. I'm not interested in money. Money's not important to me. And she is the same one who'd be spending hours looking for good deals, would spend hours, putting vouchers together. And I'm like, really? Okay, right. So it was interesting to see that about her, but she would say constantly that money's not important to me. Money's not important. Okay, and a lot of people have that. And then I had this other again family members, a distant cousin of mine, and she found out that I was now a money coach. She said, she goes, oh, but I thought you were a lawyer. I'm like, yeah, I'm a money coach now. I'm illustrating this to see how much this money thing has been ingrained into our psyche. Mm-hmm. So she was a very religious. She was a teacher. She was a religious teacher. So she's a religious scholar. So this is a woman who's supposed to be wise, by the way, scholar. Yet she had such derogative comments about money mindset. She said, oh, you teach the opposite of what I teach. I'm like, okay, what do you teach then? She goes, well, I teach about spirituality and how they shouldn't be really focused on money and the world. And, they should focus on the relationship with God. And I looked at her, and keep in mind, this woman drove a Maserati. Her kids were dressed in top to toe in designer clothes. And I looked at her and I thought, okay, so it's okay for you to have a car. It's okay for you to have the diamonds. It's okay for your kids to be going to private school and dressed in that way. But nobody else should focus on themselves, making themselves better by working on their money so they can do the same thing for themselves and send the kids to private schools. Really? The hypocrisy just really came through, for this individual. But it's that the idea that if you focus on money, you're somehow greedy and selfish and, not worth looking at because you're just a bad person. That's a concept that we've grown up with and it's ingrained in our minds. Even for someone who's an Islamic scholar.
I really teach people to separate from the way the world is. Like there's a world out there and you can talk about the world altogether. And I really don't care about that. I really just think you should be having, especially when I'm working with an individual, that your own definition of everything for your own dream. And what do you want money to be for you? What is your dream about money in you? What is your relationship to money? Right? What's your relationship to love? What do you want it to be? Because I really do believe if you leave it to the generations before, I am not looking out in a world that I think I want to even exactly emulate. Right. So I'm sorry. I was no, thank you. I will be figuring this one out for myself. I don't want my parents' marriage.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want their relationship to money. I don't want they can have whatever, everyone can have their own, right? I'm really about to each his own. Yeah. But the deep dare is to ask a person to invent their own area of life right? So no one's getting out of money. No one's getting out of love. No one's getting out of your relationship to time. These are things, born onto this planet, you will be having relationships with all of these things.
Yeah.
Whether you sign up or not, you signed up. Like you didn't remember, or you signed up. So this is really create your reality.
Yeah.
You live in a bubble, right?
Yeah.
You really live in your own little bubble. So might as well have a bubble you love of yourself,
Yeah.
right? So then I have the area of time,
Okay.
which is your relationship to time, to-dos, and time management.
Let me ask this question. I think there's a misconception that we can somehow manage time. We can't manage time. We can only manage ourselves within the time that's moving. How do you agree with that statement?
I think it's the same thing. But managing time, the amount of people who think they're bad at time or don't know how to manage their time or don't realize there's enough time to get to everything in your life, and then use time as a reason not to dream, right? Or that time is the reason you have to give all your time to your kids.
Yeah.
Right? No, not exactly. Yeah. Right? Like that's not how that works. Right? So a relationship to time is you get in your best life, I'm going for 108 years. So 108. And so given that, I make people make bucket lists, right? Like not just have an idea of a bucket list or dreams in your career. So there's a lot of developing yourself to have vision for just your own aspirations in each of these areas. And then most people never take the time to just sit and go, what is your dream in that area? And then let alone do it every year and ask yourself. And then just everyone who's listening, this is the fun part. Just writing it down, like just if you write it down, I have people write down their dream. I give them a rating scale and I go and I give you the rating scale. The rating scale is great. It's funny, a little sad, right? So when you're down at a 1 versus a 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate your current life against that dream? Answer why you gave it that rating. And then what you think is between you and getting to a 9, 10 in that area. So all of a sudden, even just answering those questions gets you motivating yourself toward your dream. Right. And so if we aren't talking to ourselves basically in exactly that way, then what's going on in our own inner dialogue is a lot of regurgitating theories. Yes. Things that probably aren't so great in there. And, your mind is not your best friend. Your mind is something that needs a lot of managing. Yes. And so this is how I help you manage your mind by taking over the narrative of dreams should be ruling.
Perfect.
Right.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah. And so the next one I have is home. Where you live, home, where you live, your space. So even if your space is little, like my kids in college, or like how you keep your space really does make you feel a particular way. And so all of these areas are either enhancing your life or hurting your life right now, right? You open that drawer and you're either proud of yourself or you're like, don't run anyone over, right? So it all counts. And then the next area is family, your immediate and extended family and parenting. The next area is friends, old and new friends. The next area is fun and adventure and learning.
I'm going to stop you there for a second. So how would you answer this question? Because I think a lot of people, especially when they've been, and I know this from personal experience, I think we were discussing this on the previous episode, you get so engrossed in doing what you need to be responsible for, the house, the bills, the kids, the responsibilities take over.
I understand.
And before you know it, you're in your late 30s, early 40s, and you look around in your life and think, how did I end up here? Like, here, where'd the decade go? The whole decade's gone. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm in my early 30s, and now I'm in my early 40s. Where the hell did the 10 years go? And when somebody says to you, let's go and have fun, and you look at them with a blank face thinking, I don't know what fun is. And, I think a lot, and this is not a phenomenon that that just happened to me. I asked my friends, we went out together, and it's we're the friends that I'm referring to, we've been friends since we were 16, so from college. And we did A levels together, and we all asked. I asked them because I was so interested in this. Like, am I the only one who's lost and who can't figure out what fun is? Because I used to enjoy bowling and dancing and none of that. I mean, it's okay, but it's not like, oh, I won't be excited about it the way I used to be. So I look at them like, what's fun for you? And I promise you, all four of us just sat there flabbergasted. I don't know. I've lost count. I've forgotten what fun is. I don't know the last time I had fun. I mean, last time we had fun was when we were together, like we were giggling like girls, like, whatever. That was fun. But before that, outside of that space, because I think we go back into our, 16-year-old versions of ourselves. We don't know what fun is. And I'm not the only one. And there's others as well. And it's a concept when I've spoken to men as well. They have lost, they've lost that ability to have fun as well. It's just everyone's focused on now and today and the responsibilities, where the fun part, that's just disappeared. How do we find that again?
Well, it's even worse. Let me just bury the top. Well, usually what ends up becoming fun for grown-ups that are martyring themselves by working really hard, making enough money, and making sure their kids are maybe having fun.
Yeah.
Unless they're making their children perfect, and then making them into overachievers, is we overeat, overdrink, and get lost in our phones and watching television, right? Like, so there's this way we just exhaust ourselves to check out to get to our vices. Yeah, so
wow, that is a powerful thing to say, because that just dawned on me when I am exhausted or when I'm emotionally exhausted. So physically exhausted is one thing. It's when I'm emotionally exhausted, I check out and I binge watch Netflix. I am not a television, I wouldn't watch television for years. And then there'll be time, like especially recently, so there's been a lot of emotional stuff that's happened. I've checked out. I didn't read books. I didn't listen to a podcast that I would do normally. I haven't been listening to my audiobooks. I've been binge watching, movies and dramas and other stuff because I've checked out.
Yeah.
Literally, I've just checked out. Yes. And it's easy for me to not focus on work, not focus on anything, just watch Netflix dramas.
Okay. Yes. That's not just you. So what happens is as especially having kids, when everything becomes about your children.
Yeah.
Right. You can't remember the last time you slept in.
I can't sleep in. I don't know how to sleep in. I will lie there. I wake up. I lie there. I've tried. I lie there and I'm like, I'm going to carry on sleeping. Oh, another 5 minutes. No. So I toss and turn my bed in the morning and I refuse to get out. And next thing you know, an hour's gone by and I haven't slept. I just stay in the bed for no reason. And then I feel guilty about it.
That's right. It's your highest lower self yelling at you by the time it's had enough of you. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So reinvent. So you're at a place. First of all, you're not asking yourself the question. You're not going to have the answer. And then the automated reality just keeps filling in. Like you do the same, like humans are routinized, right? And we don't realize how much we're having the same day over and over and over again in our heads. And so interrupting that is a real act of self-respect and self-love. And it can happen any minute, and it's right on time, right? You're never too late. And to fall in love with things that, that you've never tried, right? Mm-hmm. So when people come to me and we're dealing with that, they're, becoming empty nesters and they get to have their own life back and they have no idea what they're going to do. Fun and adventure is really an awesome area for you to have to confront. I need to try. And I literally make them make a list of all the things they're going to try, right? And learn. And so learning something you've never tried, because you're also old enough now, you don't care if you're good at it, right? So one of the main things that happened was in my 40s, I took up painting, right? And I'm not trying to sell my art and I'm not right, but I get obsessed and I love listening to music and painting,
Mm.
And so that was a whole new thing that happened in my 40s. And I was like, is this legal? This is an amazing, I have like a whole relationship with paint, right? Right. So there's things you don't know you can fall in love with that will feed your soul. But
Mm.
unless it ends up on this list of potential things you want to try or see if you can get good at, right? And then really that's fun and adventure, right? So fun and adventure doesn't mean you have to go on a vacation to Bali. It can, but it with those girls. But right, that's great. So, so it really is build out what fun and adventure is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, my kids are older now. So fun and adventure for me is letting them pick where we're going to travel. Right. And then where we're going to, so we do a lot of traveling and, and so that's an incredible amount of fun because then we're together, we're checking out new culture and we're growing together and we're having totally new experiences. So there's a lot of ways to, bring your friends together, bring who you love in your family you would want to hang out with, like all of these things combined with what's fun for you. But it's very likely you need to lose the vice. So the minute a person makes it, so I make people make promises that they don't want to keep, like their lower self does not want to keep that promise. But if you took away your screen time, you'd be reading books and you'd be doing things that you were more proud of versus like, I deserve a break today. Yeah. Right. So it naturally, you need to dream it and then you might need to stop having vices that take over easy instant gratification where you get to like feel like you're relaxing, which you might very well be relaxing, but you're not really having fun.
Yeah, it's checking.
Right.
I mean, when I'm doing this, I'm checked out. Being a vegetable, I mean, what I have
Yes.
started doing is, I try to do something active, like walk around because I've got a larger house, I walk around my living room and dining table while I'm watching the TV. So I'm doing something like physical activity. Otherwise, I'll be sitting on the sofa like for hours on end doing nothing. And I
Yeah.
found that alarming because that's not me. And I was thinking, who is this person? What's happened to
Yes.
you?
Yes. Yeah, that's, so when there's a big change happening in your life or something sad happens or something, right? The first thing to do, I do, is I make sure I create a routine for my client or myself that doesn't let blues hit or the vices take over. And or else they're coming to a theater near you. You can bet on it.
100%, 100%.
Completely.
100%. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, right. So that was fun and adventure. Next area is community and contribution, which is participation in your community. So many people talk about they should make a difference. Some people will even get as far as writing checks. But very few people do the work and don't realize how profoundly gratifying it is to give back or to do something like mentor, anything you can do. And so I thank God, making sure it's one of the areas of life so that people actually have to face it because everyone thinks everybody, especially the good guys, the good guys all are like, I'm so busy taking care of my kids and doing all the things I have to do. I'm sure someone in the world's going to make the world a better place. Right. And I'm a good person, but that doesn't mean anyone's actually doing the work that needs to get done. So, everyone should have to confront what's your method for contributing.
Okay.
Those are the 12 areas.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So if they've listened to the Friday feature and they've listened to this, what's the best way to start working on these 12 areas? So we should sit with that as going back to the Friday feature, you mentioned writing out your story. So we should take each one of these areas and write out our dreams in each areas.
So I wrote this all into a book. Maybe it's you. Cut the crap face your fears, cut the crap, love your life. Right. And so one of the first big assignments in my work is to write a dream in each of the 12 areas. And what happens in the book is I take my real clients that went through the whole process because there's a lot more to the methodology than just
Mm,
the 12 areas is the first thing I have a person do. I
mm,
deal with personality traits. I deal with your parents' marriage traits and
mm,
how how epigenetics is impacting you, all the spiritual epigenetics, how lineage is repeating in your life. And if you don't know your family history, you better.
mm,
And then I deal with also your haunting memories. All
mm.
like, so I connect a lot of dots between your dreams, your parents, and your history and your family, and your own ways you're haunted in your own inner dialogue. So it's not, so that, so please understand it's comprehensive and
Mm.
it's all a way to fall in love with yourself and to love the like fulfilling on your soul's mission and figuring out what it is.
So I think if you want to address, the best way would be if you want to address how we can work on these 12 areas of our life, it's worth then going into buying a book. What's the title of your book
Yes,
again?
maybe it's you.
Okay. And we
It's
will have the links for that. And so those who are listening to the podcast, the links for that would be in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, we'll have the link for the where you can get, is it available on Amazon?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
We'll have the link for
Absolutely.
it on the show note, on the description section as well, so you can go and click on it. And I would highly recommend it because I think these 12 areas are very comprehensive, but just understanding them is not sufficient. So you need to find a methodology and way to implement practical steps into each areas so that you can live a full authentic life in each of these different segments. And I do
Yes.
agree with you that each one of these areas are equally important. Negate
Yes.
one and you've got a missing part which would have a direct impact on the rest of your areas of your life. Hence, the be something lacking and you don't even know why because you haven't, you think I'm doing this correctly, I'm doing that correctly, but you miss any one of those areas and you will find yourself having issues. I think I do believe how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you miss anything, you will be missing a big chunk of your life. So I think on that note, we're going to wrap up. It's been an absolutely fascinating conversation with you, Lauren. Lauren, for everyone, please tell everybody how can we connect with you? Where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me, the company's name is Handel Group, Handel Group. And that's my last name, and it's the Handel Method. And then you can find me on Instagram as Lauren Handel Zander.
Wonderful. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, the links for Lauren, along with her book, would be in the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we'll have the links for her, as well as the as a link for her book on Amazon. Do check it out. I think if you are very, very serious, and I think you should be, about addressing each of these 12 areas in your life and how to overcome them, then getting her book would help you and give you the guidance to get started. And if you want further help, then do reach out to Lauren and see how she can help you in your own personal life. Well, thank you so much for being a guest today, Lauren. We've learned so much and I've had an absolutely fascinating conversation with you. Thank you so much for being such an amazing guest.
Thank you very much for having me, and it was great to meet you.
Likewise. And thank you for listening to me and Lauren today on Money Talkies. I will be back with another amazing guest finding out how you and I can build a better business. Until the next time, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.